Hi, this is Mrs. Kidman, and in this video, we are going to be discussing how we can multiply polynomials. Now, when we're multiplying polynomials, what we're going to do is we're actually going to take each value and distribute it out, and then to each of the other values in the polynomial we're multiplying it by. Oftentimes, we call this foiling, but foiling, remember, stands for first, outside, inside, last. Really what it's saying is I'm taking the first number, multiplying it times everything in the second polynomial, then the next number, multiplying it by everything, the next one, multiplying it by everything, et cetera, et cetera. So we're going to use that process to multiply out polynomials. Then we're going to talk about some special product patterns that we see so that when we see a product that's happening, that's one of those special forms, we can use that special product pattern instead of having to FOIL it all out. So let's go ahead and take a look at this first one here. So what I'm going to do is multiply it out. So I need to do negative x squared times x. Well, our outside numbers multiply. Negative 1 times 1 is negative 1 x cubed. Then I multiply these and I get plus 3 x squared. Then we multiply these two and get plus 2x squared. Then these two minus 6x. Then on the inside here we have these two, which gives us a plus 4x. And then these last two, which is a minus 12. Now, once we have it all multiplied out, we are going to combine our like terms. So let's identify which ones are alike here. Well, I've got an x cubed. I've got two x squareds. I've got two x's, and I've got one constant. So I'm going to rewrite it. Minus 1x cubed plus 5x squared minus 2x minus 12. I'm just combining those terms that are underlined the same. Then we can write it this way. Another often time that we will see it is negative x cubed. Let me change that. Negative x cubed plus 5x squared minus 2x minus 12. And that there is going to be our solution. If you write this up here, you are also correct. It just depends on how simplified you want to make it. A lot of the time people say writing that negative 1 instead of just a negative makes it a little bit more. And so we can simplify it down. So let's use this idea to then multiply out these next polynomials. So I'm going to do y times 3y squared, and that will give me 3y cubed. Then y times negative 2y, which is negative 2y squared, y times 2, which is plus 2y. Then we'll do this last one here, which is plus 15y squared minus 10y. And the last one is plus 10. Okay, then we need to identify which ones are alike. So we've got 1y cubed. I've got 2y squareds. I've got 2 y's, and I've got 1 constant. So then we want to combine those ones. So I still have my 3y squared here. I've got negative 2y squared plus 15y squared, which is plus 13y squared. And then I've got my two purple ones. 2 minus 10 is negative 8y. And then lastly, we have our plus 10. Fantastic. Okay, now let's multiply out this next one. Notice how this one here actually has 3 parts. So when we have one that has 3 parts, what we have to do is FOIL one piece and then use that FOIL piece to be multiplied by the next one. So let's go ahead and take a look at this one all together. So x times x would give me x squared. X times 4 gives me plus 4x. Negative 1 times x will give me a negative 1x, and a negative 1 times 4 is a negative 4. Now I need to multiply that whole thing by x plus 5. Before I do that, I want to simplify what's inside here so I don't have to multiply out as many times. So really what I have here is x squared plus 3x minus 4 times x plus 5. Now let's go ahead and multiply these ones out here. So I've got x squared times x, which gives me x cubed. I've got x squared times 5, which gives me plus 5x squared. We have got a 3x times x, which gives us a plus 3x squared. We have got a 3x times a 5, which gives us a plus 15x. And then last but certainly not least, we've got a negative 4 times x, which gives us a negative 4x. And we have a negative 4 times a positive 5, which gives us a negative 20. Now, our very last step is we need to combine those terms that are alike. So let's take a look. We've got 1x cubed. I have 2x squareds. I have 2 x's, and I have 1 constant. So let's combine those. I still have x cubed. 3x squared plus 5x squared gives us an 8x squared. 15x minus 4x gives me a positive 11x, and then minus 20. And this is what we're going to combine it out to be. So again, if I see 3 binomials being multiplied together, I have to multiply 2 of them, or 3 of any polynomial multiplied together, let alone just binomials, anytime it's that, we have to multiply out 2 of the polynomials and then multiply that times the third one. Think about when you do 3 times 4 times 2. What you're doing is, it doesn't matter if you do 3 times 4 or 2 times 4. But what we have to do, or even 3 times 2, but we do have to multiply out 2 of those before we can combine it to the third one. We do 12 times 2 equals 24. Or we do 3 times 8 equals 24. Or we can even do 6 times 4 equals 24. It doesn't matter how we multiply those, but we have to multiply 2 of them before we multiply it times that third one. We have to multiply out piece by piece. So keep that in mind as you're looking at these. Please check out the next video in which we discuss a couple special product patterns that we can use when we see polynomials that are being multiplied together, whether it's the sum and difference, whether it's the product of squares, whether it's the product of cubes, whatever it is, and we can use those patterns to then determine what our outcome is going to be. So please check out that next video to see some of those special product patterns so we don't have to multiply it all out. But when we recognize those patterns, we can use them to then say, I know this is what it's going to be.